Let me screen share the whole. So let me share my screen. Okay, I need to open my PPT, and here we go.
Yeah. Hi everyone. Thanks for joining first PowerShell Hangout, uh, which is uh, which is provided by PSBUG and PSHUG, which is like PowerShell Bangalore user group and PowerShell Hyderabad user group. My name is Harshul Patel, and I got recent PowerShell MVP Deepak Dami with me. So we'll be starting with the basic session, like who are all new to PowerShell, how they can learn PowerShell, and what is all PowerShell about. So uh, let's start with the session. So, my name is Harshul Patel. To give the brief introduction, I am working with Microsoft currently. I manage PowerShell Hyderabad user group along with Sitaram, and previously I was working with Tata Consultancy Services. So I got Dexter Dami with me, which is like his name is Deepak Dami, but it is very famous name Dexter Dami in IT world. So maybe you can. He recently awarded with PowerShell MVP award. So maybe Deepak can give introduction.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. And you didn't have to mention our previous employer. Okay, my name is Deepak, and I go with the handle DexterPOSH. You can probably, if you want to, follow me in Twitter. That's my handle, and I'm an active member of Partial Bangalore user group. Going on, I'll set the agenda for today's meet. So this meet is for the people who are just getting to know what is Windows PowerShell, and most probably people who will be going to watch this in YouTube later, they probably know what is PowerShell, right? So in your work, you might have heard of PowerShell and how cool and awesome it is. So we are setting the agenda. It's just a getting started session, and we'll look at what are PowerShell commandlets, what are PowerShell aliases, and we'll then go in a brief about how to use the help subsystem, which is built in Windows PowerShell to discover stuff. So
Yeah,
moving
so
on.
Deepak was a bit busy, but he was willing to travel to Hyderabad for this weekend. So I thought like we can have a PowerShell hangout on there, and maybe people can leverage it to start with the PowerShell. So let's start with the Windows PowerShell, what it is all about, and how you can start with it. So I heard a lot of things related to Windows PowerShell. Like people are saying like it's a scripting language like VB script or JavaScript, but it is not only a scripting language, but it's an automation engine. So by using that, you can automate the routine tasks which are all performed in IT. IT. I mean, these are all considered as IT routine tasks. So I would like to categorize two things like life without PowerShell and life with PowerShell. So let's take an example. Like if you want to create Active Directory users, like bulk user in terms of thousands of users. So how you will do it? So if you will do it manually, it will take hours and hours, right? I mean, it will take not only hours, it will take days. So with PowerShell, you can do it in single line. So that's the capability PowerShell holds. So when I started Windows PowerShell, it was two or 3 years before, but now it's like too late to start with the basics. But yeah, whoever is joining this session first, this is good. This is good time to start. I mean, this is like extreme time to start, I can say. So learn PowerShell before it becomes an emergency. I follow one analogy like you want to become a mechanic or a driver. So let's take a simple example like mechanic will be knowing in and out about product, or mechanic is one who can know the I mean who can do anything in product, like he knows how to fix the parts, or he know how to fix the things, how to consolidate the things. But who are all drivers are like the one who knows how to drive the product. They know how to use product. I mean, they know only if product is going in a smooth way. But yeah, if product is giving some critical error, they cannot fix it. They need mechanic for it. So everybody me, or everybody you can take in a PowerShell community, they are PowerShell drivers. So I would like to suggest you to not only be a PowerShell driver, you can be a PowerShell mechanic. So you know how PowerShell work in backend. I mean, PowerShell is like very simplest thing what I find so far, but you can be a PowerShell mechanic. You can just try to think like what is happening in backend, and what are the things, if you are typing any PowerShell command, what are the things are happening in backend. I mean, you need to know that. So you will be probably becoming a PowerShell mechanic. So PowerShell, it's like scripting language, as I say, but it has a lot of file extensions. So mainly PowerShell scripts will be having .ps1 extension, and .ps1 file can do magic. I mean, it is like very powerful file which can code. But there are also a couple of more files: .psm1 file, .psd1 file, .ps1 xml file. So psd1 is again a definition file. PS1 is module file, where you can put all your function into a single file, and later you can import the file and can reuse the functions. But yeah, and PS1 XML is again configuration file. So PowerShell is very simple language, as I say, but yeah, it is yet complex if you use it in some specific scenarios. There are a number of concepts where you can use PowerShell. You can extend PowerShell up to your imagination. I mean, there are several products like SCCM, or you can take any System Center product, or Exchange, or SQL. Any product you can take. Those products can be extended with the capability of PowerShell. I mean, those guys had a lot of PowerShell commandlets bunch in a PowerShell SDK, so you can reuse that. If you are aware about server core operating system, so that operating system doesn't hold any GUI, right? So there PowerShell will be your life, right? I mean, you can't live without PowerShell. You cannot carry all your tasks using command prompt. There you need to depend on PowerShell. So in that sense, PowerShell is like more important. Let's proceed forward. uh, so yeah, everybody wonders like, what is PowerShell, what it contains, like the commandlets. But commandlets, what are all those commandlets? So commandlets are nothing but they are like .NET class objects. So the class .NET classes are extended up to the need of the users. So it brings the power of the .NET framework to command line users and script writers. It follows object based object based approach. So object based pipeline you can use. I mean, a lot of Linux, for if somebody is by chance knowing Linux, they can probably understand like how pipeline works. So it is also having the same capability. uh, PowerShell can also leverage the current tools, like what all the tools are already in place. You can leverage those tools and you can have that functionality, and you can use the PowerShell at the same place, and you can extend the functionality. You can continue to use the current instrumentation, like you have a lot of objects, right? Component object model, ADSI, WMI, ADO, XML. So those objects you can use along with PowerShell. There is nothing new in that. Also, there are a lot of other non-Microsoft vendors also. They provide PowerShell SDK along with the product, like Citrix, VMware, or recently HP and NetApp is also providing their PowerShell SDK along with the product. So
even EMC, I think they have rolled out their PowerShell module. And
yeah,
if you manage HP LILO, they also now have an official PowerShell module to stuff the to support the automation scenarios.
yeah. So I was not knowing that, but yeah, I worked with Dell ID Deck at that time. Dell is also having some modules which can work with remote ILO concepts.
Yeah. And I heard they recently launched something related to PS provider, some module. Uh, I got an email, but I didn't pay any attention to that.
Okay.
Not
Yeah,
managing it.
probably you are now PowerShell MVP, so you'll be getting a lot of mails, but you'll not be paying attention there. So yeah, so uh, as I say, it got extensive product support from various vendors. Okay, PowerShell, it's a command console, but also it is having an integrated scripting environment, which is again a scripting editor, or it provided by Microsoft. So maybe later of the session we'll have a look at PowerShell IC, like how it is.
Okay, I'd like to sum what Harshul just told in 2 slides. And the summary is learn PowerShell. It's awesome. Okay, so probably most of the people who have joined us, or maybe you are looking to learn PowerShell, already know that it's high time they learn it, because all the products now support, like PowerShell is a part of common engineering criteria. So it's nothing but a criteria which tells like all the future products which Microsoft rolls will have official PowerShell support. So be any product which is part of System Center, Exchange or anything, it will have official PowerShell support. So moving on.
Yeah. So PowerShell, I mean, mainly it doesn't have any installation requirement, but yeah, probably if you want to use the a full functionality, you should be having a compatible .NET framework version. So PowerShell as of now, it got 4 versions in a stable, yeah, in a stable. I mean, those versions are stable. So we got started with PowerShell version 1. Then we got remoting functionality in version 2, and then we moved to version 3 with bunch of more commandlets, and then we finally moved to version 4, which got DSC functionality. So there are various versions, and it got also a great history. So it came from Jeffrey Snoward. I mean, he wrote Monarch Manifesto a few years back. So
Okay, Harshul, I think you have got Jeffrey Snowers misspelled there. It's one O, not two double O's.
yeah.
So probably he's gonna kill you for that.
Yeah, so he he got Monarch Manifesto a few years back, and then he had a vision to have a product in place to automate everything, which are all the routine tasks that the IT pros were performing those days. So he got I mean, he got that product idea, and then later part Drew Spate, and then a lot of other folks who helped him to code the PowerShell, actual PowerShell, and then we had this awesome product. So it is not case sensitive. It common platform for all future products, as Deepak told, and it got awesome community support. I mean, there are a lot of groups available over the internet. There you can go and just ask a PowerShell question. You will get the answer in few hours, I can say. Yeah.
Probably you can ask Harshul from Microsoft to solve your problems.
Yeah, maybe PowerShell. It all again depend on MVPs. What we got. Yeah. So all PowerShell maybe we got count around 71 this year. So Deepak is one of them. Yeah. Again, I'm not forgetting this because
Harshul, you
this
don't
has
need to
happened.
remind it again and
This has
again.
happened recently.
Okay, so I'll take the frequently asked questions. Like I have been to a lot of PowerShell user groups here in Bangalore and Hyderabad itself. Like I've joined a few, and the most common doubt which people have in mind is I don't have any programming experience. Do I need to learn programming in order to use PowerShell? And the answer is not required. But at some point you'll require it, but not to get started with it. So if you have been using command prompt to ping a server or do a net start or do a nbd stat or run any sort of command, right? And if you are comfortable doing that, then PowerShell is for you because that is the way forward. And why it is the way forward? Because it uses something called objects, and if you get objects instead of text, and you can probably do a great lot of things and a lot of automation.
Yeah, maybe I have seen a lot of system administrator who use ping and NSLOOKUP all the time, and they open command prompt. So maybe they can rely on PowerShell and they can use the same functions over the console.
So
PowerShell console.
first thing which I suggest people is, even if you are doing a ping, if you are comfortable using ping, go ahead and use it, but at least do it in a PowerShell prompt, because PowerShell prompt supports running native executables until and unless like you are specifying a parameter which has hyphen in it. But like most probably whatever you have been using, you can use it in a normal PowerShell session as well. Okay, so I strongly encourage people to go out there, at least get the PowerShell, the blue shell which people call it, open it and run few commands in it, get the fear out of you.
Yeah, try to experience that. I mean,
okay. So, and they tell, do I need to rewrite all my existing tools? Suppose you have already a script in hand, a batch, a VBS, which does a lot of things for you. And if you migrate to PowerShell, should I be migrating everything with that? Then I'd say probably not. It depends on the scenario, right? If you have something which has already been built for you, you can go ahead and use it with PowerShell also. You can run a batch file from PowerShell. You can run a VB script. It's as simple as calling the cscript.exe host and supplying the VB script. Okay, and you don't need to worry about anything else. Okay, so whatever tools you have, keep them with you, but in future, if you want something a more robust framework for automation, then my suggestion is probably go with PowerShell. Because if a guy who codes 400 lines of code in VB script to do a simple automation, a guy with PowerShell knowledge can probably do it in 15 or 20 lines.
Here probably you can see the spirit of PowerShell MVP.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, so and people ask, do I need to learn the new language? Like most of the people who have DOS and Unix background, they come to PowerShell and they tell, okay, and like people get a little uncomfortable, right, when starting with a new product. So they tell, okay, I'll have to learn with, I'll have to run everything from new. I'll have to rewire my brain and all that sort of thing. But that's not actually required. What you can do is your existing knowledge of DOS and Unix commands, you can probably use them. You can carry them forward. Not so much, not all the concepts which you have been carrying, because PowerShell is obviously a paradigm shift in the scripting scenarios. Like all the conventions, it's very different from all the
But
conventions.
I don't find any difficulty in extending those functionality.
Okay, and the last question is how to be a master of the set. So as it says it in the bold, use it regularly. So whatever task you are doing, try wherever you use command prompt, you use batch, try to convert those to PowerShell, and you'll come into you'll come to realize, okay, I don't need probably 1,000 lines of VB script code to just do few WMI calls or do set few properties on a WMI instance. So that's a random example, but you'll come to realize the power of the shell. Okay, so moving forward, going to the next slide. So before I go, like there's an important concept of PS drives in PowerShell. So I think most of us know like what a file system drive is like. So file system drive is nothing but a hierarchical structure of folders and files, and you can have shortcuts, symlinks, etc. But it's a hierarchical database, right? So it exposes as a drive to us. So extending on that concept, PowerShell has something called PS drives. So all the hierarchical database, be it a registry, be it a Active Directory for us, be it something called a configuration manager site in a CCM, all those are exposed to you as a CM site, as a PS drive. So what that brings to table is like to manage, like if you want to get a report of all the users in your Active Directory environment, the shortest and simple way, no need to use any commandlets or anything, is go to your PS drive, which points to your OU having all the users, and you can probably do a LS, right? Most of the people know, Unix people know what LS does, and most of the Windows people know what a dir does. You do a simple dir, retype the output to a file, and you get there the list of all the users in a particular OU.
Yeah, and the important thing is like you can create your own drive by using new PS drive command. So maybe you can have a shared folder path, or you can have some other thing that you need it handy. So there you can use a new PS drive command and you can create that drive.
Okay, so what Harshul is trying to tell is like you don't have to restrict yourself with the drives which come in. You always have that capability with PowerShell to extend whatever you get out of the box. Okay, so PS drive, why I wanted to point out that is like if you are trying to do something with registry, right, and like you are trying to create a new registry, you are probably trying to set a particular property on a registry key, then the existing commandlets which you learn to manage your file system, the item commandlets we call them, those particular item commandlets can very well be used to manage registry. So think of the power it gives you. You just learn the commandlets to manage file system, but you can go ahead and use those to manage your registry. You can use those to create a user in an OU. You can go ahead and use those to create a organizational unit. You can use that to create folders in configuration manager. So that's probably beneficial, right? You have just learned one set of commandlets and you can use multiple automation scenarios or multiple administration scenarios to use it. So just wanted to get out that because PS drives, most of the people, they get a little bit confused. I'll be showing that in the demo. Okay. So, and aliases, like Harshul would have probably discussed how a PowerShell commandlet looks like, right? So there are two parts. There's a verb and there's a noun. So the first part is called the verb and the second part is the noun. And why Microsoft went with that is for the easy discoverability, right? So what I tell to people the first day I have given a few trainings in the past, and what I tell people is, suppose if you are entirely new to PowerShell and you want to suppose manage something out of the box, you don't know anything about PowerShell, then you go ahead and ask PowerShell. It will give you everything if you have provided the help updated on your system. So if you have help, you get everything, right? But you need to know the few basic things. PowerShell is object based, and the PowerShell executables are called commandlets, and they are always of the format verb noun naming convention. Okay, once I know that, I know, okay, so if I want to manage something related to process, the process part always goes in through the noun part. Okay, so the noun part will always be the process. So what I need to do is I need to look for commands which will have the process in the noun part. I'll show that in the demo as well. Going
Yeah, there are some couple of, I mean, not couple of, there are many predefined verb which are provided by Microsoft, like get, set, or some lot of things. I mean, there are a lot of verbs defined there, so you can reuse that into your core commands, but you can create your custom verbs as well.
Okay, so I'm taking the people who come here. They don't even know like PowerShell by default is available on Windows 7 and onwards. It's like it's built into the it's baked into the operating system from Windows 7 and onwards. So PowerShell will be there, and I don't have a Windows 7 box, but you can find it inside all programs, accessories, and Windows PowerShell. There it should be. And if you go to the file system, see Windows System 32, Windows PowerShell, version V1.0, there should be a PowerShell.exe. But if you have a Windows 8 box, which I have, you can just do this and search for probably PowerShell. So it comes up. Um, so just click on that. It opens a PowerShell window. Okay, and I think I should be. Let me clear the screen a bit. So this is PowerShell window. Okay, and you can customize this console a bit. It's very similar to the command console.host. So what you can do is you can probably go to the properties. If you don't like the font, you can probably change that. You can change the size. You can change the layout. You can
Cool
change
thing
that
is, yeah, you can
colors.
change the font colors as well. So
Okay.
yeah,
So all things you can do, you can probably do a bold font. I'll take that for now. So the font is bold. Okay, I'll just check if there are any questions right now. Okay, how do I do that? Okay, let me go to the question map. Okay, I don't see any questions. So moving on. So this is your PowerShell console. So PowerShell host. So it says Windows PowerShell. Okay, and the another thing which I'd like to point is if you're doing some administration tasks, right? So you'd probably need to run PowerShell as admin. So many people I've seen like people asking questions. It's not working in my environment. So first thing, if you're doing something related to administration, probably it's a good idea to go back, pin it in your taskbar, and right click on it, run as admin. Okay, and if you have like multiple accounts, like if you have a super account to manage something, right? So what you can do is you can select that, press shift, then do a right click, run as. Okay, it's not showing up. Go back. So right click. Okay, I think this machine is trying to domain.
yeah, but it's like corporate name, so you will not be able to access.
Okay, so let's me.
You can start with run as administrator.
So or what you can do is right click shift. It's okay. It shows run as different user, right?
Yeah.
So if you have probably two set of credentials, one specifically for managing some system, you can run as a different user. It asks you for credentials for your domain, and it runs that particular power instance with those level of those set of permissions. Okay, and let me just run it as admin. So I'm running it as admin. It prompts a UAC prompt. You go there and say yes. So if you see now the title has changed. It says administrator, right? So it's probably a good sign. Like you should be looking at when your scripts don't run. So this is the PowerShell host. So moving on, I was showing you how a typical commandlet looks like in PowerShell. So I know already this is a commandlet. So these are PowerShell commandlets, and you don't have to type the whole command. What you can do is you can just do a get hyphen p and press tab. It will do the tab completion for you. Okay, so suppose I skipped that process, right? So what I need to do is press shift with tab and it cycles back. So I go back to the process, and if I press tab again, it goes one step ahead. Okay, when I press shift and tab, it goes back. So I know this is a commandlet, and if you see the verb noun naming convention, right? So first part is verb, which is get, and the second part is noun process. So if a guy who knows how to speak plain English, right? What this verb noun naming convention conveys to him is what this command is going to do is going to get you processes, right? So when I run it, it runs, right? So I get a lot of processes back, right? So people might tell me, okay, this is an output which looks very similar to something called task list in command prompt. Okay, not task list, but task list. So this is very similar to right, but there's a key difference. When I run task list, actually, there's something entirely different being given to me, and when I do a get process, there's something called objects being given to me. When I do a task list, I just get the text back. And suppose I want to get the PID of a process called Chrome. So what I need to do is I need to go through this text. I need to be very good with regular expressions, and I need to pass this particular PID column, and I need to get that data, and then I need to process it, right?
That's where it follow my analogy, right? I mean, you can be a PowerShell driver. By seeing the output, you will not be able to, I mean, characterize, right? I mean, this is the object with output, and this is not. But by using the knowledge which you can gain for PowerShell, by using that knowledge, you can probably get that output. What Deepak is asking about, and also I would like to cover one more thing. Like a lot of people are asking, like, which PowerShell version I am running. So maybe you can cover that, like how to get the PowerShell version there.
Okay, so if you do, there's a automatic variable called $PS version table. So it tells you which PS version you're running. The WS-man stack, this is nothing but which is used behind the scene for communication, the Windows remote management. The stack which it's using, the serialization version, the .NET version, the CLR version tells that, the build version, and all the compatible versions. So from 1.0 it's compatible with everything. Okay, but not entirely. I think.
Yeah, this is backward compatible, but
so the code which you wrote for 2.0, like it will work in 4.0, but the code which you wrote for 4.0 with few additional things which they did, like they added few more extra things, that might not probably work in 2.0. So like the previous environment where I was working, I always used to script it against 2.0 because that was the version which most of the production environments are currently running on.
Windows 7 and Windows Server 2008 R2 supports 2.0.
Okay. So if you want to run, like if you're writing a script which you are targeting against a particular version, what you can do is you can probably call this. So it creates a new PS partial window for me, and if I check PS version table, here it says the PS version is 2.0. So probably I can script against this version to ensure the compatibility against all the workstations where I might be running my scripts. So that's about the version. Let's go ahead. Okay. And whatever we discuss, it will be entirely on 2.0 and few bits of 3.0. If you understand PowerShell 2.0 completely, then 3.0 and 4.0 will just smoothen the deal. Okay.
Let's move back to slide. We can cover the demo in the later part.
Okay, so there's something called commandlets. So commandlets are nothing but which get executed, which are the executables in PowerShell. So this is a commandlet, right? So probably you won't want to run get process something. This is a too lengthy thing to type, right? So what we can do is there are things called aliases, which are nothing but nicknames for those commandlets. You can instead type those instead of the full commandlet. So instead of typing get hyphen process, what I can do, I can do a PS. Okay, so it lists all that. And if you want to look at what the aliases you have, there's a other commandlet called get alias. If I do this, these are by default inbuilt aliases. These are by default there for you.
Yeah, maybe. So Deepak, if Deepak is typing PS and if he is entering, you will be probably getting the process list. But for that, you need to be aware of all aliases. Like, I mean, get process, what the alias for get process or what the alias for get service. So, yeah.
Okay. So alias is nothing but a nickname, and like if you like as a tip, like people generally use aliases, right? So the best practice is like whenever you script, right, whenever you are writing a script, try to avoid aliases and shorthand notations because it becomes difficult for a person who is coming into organization after you leave, and it will be difficult for him to understand the script. So probably he is not a Unix guy, right? So he doesn't know what ls is. So he'll have to go there and check it. If he knows what are aliases in PowerShell, he'll have to go there and check it. Okay, what does alias do? And like there's a alias called SPJB, right? If I put this, then probably it will be difficult for him to, it will become a little bit cryptic, right? So you don't want to do that. So always use the full commanded names whenever you are scripting, okay? And try to use the full parameters. So we'll come to that in a moment. So moving forward, we wanted to cover actually the help, the 3 key commands which are used to explore PowerShell. Okay, I'm not going to do that. I'll be just showing everything in the console as well. So get help is the first command which you need to master, and get help, as the name suggests, it gives you help. And many people tell me I don't know how to use help, right? So what you can do is get help for get help.
Yeah.
Okay. So PowerShell tells you everything. Okay, and if you are running on PowerShell version 3.0 and if you don't see all this extra stuff, then the first most thing which you need to do is probably update help. So with version 3.0 you don't have a offline help. Everything is got from the technet site and
Yeah.
it dumps into your
The
machine.
main idea was to get the latest help,
Yes,
I mean, which is available in TechNet.
so version 2.0 had this massive help which will come part of the bundle installer, and it will put everything in your machine, but there was no way of updating it. So what the team instead did it is like it doesn't put anything help related files in your machine when you do a version 3.0 installation, and after you have done that you need to run update -help. It will just go over the internet and update the help for you. And if you are running it multiple times, then you need to probably add this particular switch called -force. Okay, so that's it about help and how to actually go there and interpret help, because most of the people don't know what help looks like, right? So there's a particular syntax it follows, particular nomenclature it follows. Okay, so I probably tend to use help, which is a function. It does the same thing, but it doesn't scroll everything down. So it will just freeze everything for me to scroll down. So I probably use this function for viewing the help. So if you see this, it just gives you a name of the commandlet. So what I did going back is I asked for help for the commandlet called get process. And if you're doing it first time, then it's a good idea to do a -full help, because it will show you everything, the nuts and bolts in the help for that. So this gives me the get process, the name, a little bit idea synopsis, and the description, right? So most of the people like they shout out for help to the community before doing their homework instead. So what you need to do is if you are working through a script which already someone has written for you, and if you don't understand it, probably go there and look at the online help or the offline help which is there in your system, and then see why this stuff is not working before crying out wolf, right? So first time probably somebody would come and ask you what's your problem, and he might have noticed like this was already there in the help. So that person would probably be excited enough to help you the next time, because he would have that prejudice, right, that this guy doesn't read help. So you don't want to be that guy who doesn't read help. You should always read help before asking for help, right? So
You would try and read help system.
okay. So now if you go back, so okay, what I did wrong. Okay, so if you see this, you'll be seeing a lot of get process this, then there's another set, there's another way of calling get process. These are actually different ways of calling a particular command, right? So what you can do is with get process, you can specify a name and you can call it. You can even run get process without specifying anything, right? So that even also works. So we'll look at why actually that's happening, because as Harshul says, you want to be a mechanic, right? You don't want to be a driver who just runs stuff and gets the output, right? You want to understand what's happening behind the scene, how commandlets work, what are parameters, what I need to specify to it, right? So PowerShell commandlets, they have a functionality, and like a particular commandlet, in this case get process, can get you process based on the names of the process, based on the IDs, and based on the, you can include the username also, which particular guy has.
These are all probably parameter names along with their values. So,
okay. So as Harshul told, these are parameters. So whatever starts with hyphen, it's a parameter in PowerShell. So this is a parameter, and what you see just alongside it is a argument.
a value supported.
Yeah, value supported that parameter. So this name parameter takes this type of value as an argument. So what I mean by that is, if you do a get process minus name and you specify an integer, it probably won't take it. PowerShell behind the scenes will try to convert to a string for you and work with that, but when it doesn't find a process with that particular name, it will fail. So to show my case, I'll just do a notepad. I'll open a notepad instance and let me do a get process. I should probably scroll back up. Okay. Okay, get process. And suppose get process, if I run it alone, it runs right. Everything is well and fine. But what if I don't want all the process? I just want the notepad process, which I just started. So how I do that is I use a parameter called minus name. So with minus name, you specify a string, because that's what helps tells me, right? So I can specify a string and it works. So it gives me just one object back. So I just get one output getting the notepad. Okay, so this is there. So going back again to the help. Okay, again interpreting how to use help. Okay, so instead of doing this, there's a trick actually. So if you do a hash and do a help and press tab, it will go to the, it will reverse cycle through your history and just match whatever thing which you're typing.
Yeah.
So going
This
back,
probably, I mean, nobody was knowing of so far. So yeah.
okay, so this takes an argument of type string, and these square braces you see, right? It tells you it can take multiple strings as a argument.
Array. You
Okay,
can say,
so
you can define
or an
array.
array or a collection, right? So what I can do is get hyphen process minus name, get me the notepad if it is running, and Chrome. So I'm probably running Chrome. So if you see, I get the notepad also and I get the Chrome also. So if you, I think you have got a fairly a good idea what that square braces mean. So you can specify a collection of strings separated by comma, of course. Okay, so in this way you'll get multiple objects back. Okay, so this is there, and I'm just moving one at a time so that people don't get confused. Help, get process full again. So we have covered this parameter, right? And what you see outside this square braces, so this square braces means entirely different thing. It means you can pass a collection to it. And what does these square braces mean? Harshul, maybe you'll try to shed some
Yeah.
light.
So those things are like you remember only a single line, right? Wherever you see the curly, sorry, square bracket, you can understand like these are all the optional thing. I mean, those are all things are up to you. Like you can provide it or you can leave it. So based on your need or based on your requirement, you can specify the name of the process. But if you, even though if you will not specify, the command will run. It will not throw you any error.
So
So yeah.
yeah, for this example, right? So I run this command like get process notepad Chrome, it runs fine, right? It's very similar to what I ran again. So when I do a minus name, I explicitly tell it. I tell PowerShell, okay, for the name parameter, these are the arguments, right? So but here I don't specify anything, but it just works, right?
Yeah, so you can say positional parameter. Yeah,
Yeah, and it's an optional parameter, right? Even if you don't specify it, it will run.
yeah,
And why it's so optional? Because I just show you now. Going back to the help again, if you scroll down, actually, most people don't even scroll down to check what's there. You
yeah,
should be scrolling down. If you go back, we're using the parameter called minus name, right? So you should scroll
yeah,
down to name, and you see this. The position is one,
yeah,
right? So if position is one, what I mean by that is it's obviously not required, right? So what PowerShell will do is whatever you specify at the position one, it will automatically bind it with this particular thing. So what I mean by that is,
you
so
can probably give an example and type a random string. It will take it as a
yeah,
process name.
so see when I'm doing a get process notepad, what it does is minus name for this particular parameter the position is one. And at position 1, I haven't specified any parameter, right? There is no hyphen. So what PowerShell treats this as an argument. So what it will do, it will take this argument and it will automatically bind it with minus name. Because that's the thing which it was expecting at the position 1. Okay, so instead of this, as Harshul told, I'll take, okay, get Harshul. So it tells me, and another thing which people don't read is the error message. So whenever they see red message, they just shout for it. So as it's telling get process cannot find a process with the name Harshul.
It will try to find the process name which is named as Harshul. So there is no process called Harshul. So it
So
will throw an
it's
error.
equivalent to running this right minus name Harshul. So what I'm telling PowerShell is get a process where the name is Harshul, right? So again, it will throw me the same error telling cannot find a process with the name Harshul, right? So I think you have got an idea what positional parameter is, right? So minus name is a positional parameter. That's why these braces outside it, these square braces. It tells you don't need to specify name. Even if you specify just the process name at the first place, it will work.
Yeah, if you go in depth in that, I mean, you probably you can see the a lot of square brackets there, right? So a parameter name itself is an optional thing, and also the pair of parameter and parameter value is also optional thing. So
So
that's
what?
the other thing. I mean, sometimes what will happen, right? Parameter name will be alone; it will be optional. So you need to specify the parameter value. So
So
maybe you can take example of event log later.
So what Harshul trying to say is the outside braces, right? These cell, you don't need to specify anything. You can completely forget this if you want to run this particular thing. If I can forget this, moving on, I can forget this also, right? This is also entirely enclosed inside square braces. I can forget this. I can forget this. I can forget this. So what this means is even if I run get process without
You
anything,
can skip everything.
it will run, right? So let me go ahead and verify that. So it runs, right? It gives me all the process back for me. So that is what it's telling. Okay, but to give you a more example on to build on this is there's a command called get event log. So if you run it, it tells you, boss, I need log name to in order to run. It won't run until you specify the log name. Okay, so this happens to support my case further. What I'll do is I'll show you the help for get event log. Okay, so if you see this, for the log name, outermost square braces are missing, right? If you see this in this
Yeah.
particular set.
In this case, the only parameter name is optional.
Okay, and the first one is always the default set, the default set it maps to, and these are actually parameter sets. So what I mean by parameter sets is you can use this particular command in two formats. You can either use it in this way or use it in that way. Suppose this is my first parameter set, this is my second parameter set. For second parameter set, I need to specify at least one parameter, which is in this. So I'll just say minus list. So let me do this, get event log minus list. So it lists me, it runs, right? So this is the second parameter set which I run. So building on that, right, you know what's a optional and what's a mandatory. For this, log name is the mandatory parameter. You always have to specify log name before you run it. Okay. So let me cancel this. Okay, I think we are running short on time. Probably we'll go with the help later.
Yeah, maybe you
Again.
can cover that one part which I can see common parameters.
Yep.
People
Okay.
will be having questions
So
about that.
I have just told, right, these are parameter sets. So these are nothing but different ways in which you can use this PowerShell, this particular PowerShell command. So, and if you see, each parameter set will have a parameter which will be unique to it. So for example, in this parameter set, it has minus name which doesn't exist in any other parameter set. You can probably go ahead and say it. Okay, it's not minus name, it's actually file version info, which is unique to this one. So it's file version info, not even file version info.
It's include username. Maybe you will not find include username anywhere.
Yeah, include username is,
It's also there. Input object you can take.
yeah, input object is particular to that. So this is being shared with this. Okay, and
So
minus name.
yeah, so common parameters in a single line, it is like common parameters for each and every commandlets which are defined into Windows PowerShell. So there are like eight commandlets which are bundled as a common parameters. You can use the about help. Maybe you can cover about star. They can see the uh, helps available.
So if you do a help about star, right, by default PowerShell a lot of about topics. These are not nothing but conceptual topics. And like when I got started, right, if you remember, Harshul, we used to look at about topics a lot
Yeah,
for all the queries we
these
had.
are all not single lines. I mean, you can just grab any of the line from there, and you can just copy it and take ask for help about that topic. So you can get the multiple pages document kind of stuff.
Mm.
There you can read about that particular thing.
So the common parameters which Harshul was telling about, right? We can do a help about common parameters. It will open up this conceptual help topic, and then if you see, there's a long description, and let me promise you, it's very long. So if you see, these are the common parameters. So these are the parameters which are by default. If minus common parameter is specified in the parameter set, then these many parameters are available to you. So even if you don't want it, it's there. You can go ahead and use it. So these are common. That's why they are called common parameters. They're
Yeah.
common to every commandlet which is shipped with PowerShell. So even if you are using Exchange, right? If you want to use error action, it's there. Even if you're using commandlets with SDCM, if you're using commandlets with orchestrator, all those things will have these common parameters.
This will be very handy who do error handling and all those stuff.
Yeah. So I think,
Also, maybe you can probably cover like how to copy and paste data into PowerShell. Right, I mean a lot of command prompt guys, they will be like
yeah.
clicking on right click
Okay,
and
yeah.
do
So
paste.
that's a
So
good. Okay. So what I get is like whatever I did right now, right? So I want to paste it in a text file, right? So just to give you what PowerShell is capable of, I just want. So I can go actually many ways of doing this. I'll show you a very cool way, and probably in the next one I'll show you this. So I get all the command lines which I did. and I can pipe it to clip.exe. So what it does is it pastes everything in my notepad. So this is one way of doing this. If you want everything, you just pipe it to clip.exe and you get it in command prompt, right? In your clipboard. So moving on, there's another way. You just have to select. So this is called there's something called quick edit mode in the console. This is available in command prompt also. If you select it and click and right click it, it gets copied in your clipboard. Then you can go to your notepad and just do a paste. Just paste it. So you don't have to do right click like we used to do that, right? We can enable that also if you want. Yeah, you just have to go to the properties and disable the quick edit mode.
Yeah.
So when do this, and if I want to select everything, then I have to do it again the old way of doing
Mark
it.
and
I have to mark it, then enter, then I have to paste it this way. So I don't want to do this step. What I'll do is I'll enable quick edit mode because PowerShell is all about being efficient, right? So you want to be efficient with what you do. So you just go there, select stuff, press right click, go back, press right click again. So it gives you everything back.
Yeah.
So I think we couldn't stress more on the help, but it's very important to learn actually how to explore stuff in PowerShell. Probably in next Hangout we'll try to cover it again.
Yeah, maybe a lot of guys will be having question, right? I mean, we are able to use help, but we don't know how many commandlets are available in Windows PowerShell. So maybe you can probably go back to slide and just talk about the three commandlets. So second command is get command. So that command will, get command will give you the list of commands available, which is available in a single PowerShell console. So
okay, so actually you don't need even get command, but you should be aware of that. Suppose the things which I tell people is like, suppose if you're managing, you want to do something with process, right? So the best step would be this.
Use wildcard character.
You can use wildcard characters, and it will give you everything which PowerShell has with process. Okay, and this will sometimes not show you everything. So that's a little a bug with that. So that's probably you should be using get command, and you need to specify it. Okay, I'm looking only for the noun part, right? So as told, commandlets are verb, noun, name, convention. I'm only targeting noun, and I want the noun part to match this particular thing. So now if I run it, I get all the commandlets. See, all the command types are commandlet, which
it contains process in it.
And if I remove the end wildcard, it will just give me the process ones. Okay, so I get all these ones, and then what I can do is the roadmap should be, you should always do a get command. Okay, after you get the list of possible commands,
just
then you can
try to get the help.
Always try this. So I know, okay, get, and it's probably a good idea to start with the get command because it doesn't stop anything on your machine. So help get process minus full. Always do a full until you are doing it again and again. So the help process get full. Okay. So there's another cool thing. If you have read already the help and you are looking for the examples, you can look at only the examples, how to quickly execute it.
Probably you can show that show window command, so show window parameter.
So like if you show window, so this pops up a window. So what you can do is you can keep on looking help, and you can probably try out stuff here. Look at the help over there. You can manage it the way you want. You can probably scroll down to the examples and just copy paste and run examples to see what's happening. So that's actually like, frankly speaking, that's actually how we started. In PowerShell version 2, we used to just copy paste each example again. Do a just right click and paste
and just try an error method. I mean, how it works.
So it does this. So it's doing S1 plus localhost. It shows me an error. So going back to the home, I'll remove the computer name because trying to get something from the. Okay, so when I run it, okay, I get this output, right? So whenever you get an error, please just read the error message while spelling.
Yeah.
It will exactly tell you what you need to do. Okay. Sometimes it might not, but then you have to keep trying on things, and probably you'll come to that. Okay. So that's it. We have covered, and the another most important command to explore stuff is get member. Probably we should cover it in next Hangout when we throw a light on the object-oriented nature of PowerShell.
Yeah, but believe us, right? I mean, all these three commandlets, if you know efficiently like how to use these three commandlets, you are good with PowerShell. I mean, I can say.
Yeah, you will be pretty comfortable with the console. And once you are console, once you are comfortable with the console, you can automate a lot of things because PowerShell has very cool features.
Yeah.
So
So as Deepak told that, I mean, if you aren't willing to read PowerShell files, then you won't be effective
effective
with
with
PowerShell.
PowerShell. Okay.
Yeah.
Good catch, Harshul, again, pointing that out. Okay, so references so most people ask, like the question which we get most is, I wanted to get started with PowerShell. How do I start with it? What are the resources and whatever. So the book which everybody recommends in PowerShell community is Learn PowerShell in a Month of Lunches by PowerShell MVP Don Jones and Jeff X. There's another by Harshul also, the instrument. That's the cheaper one. You can probably buy that one. So
But that probably it is for expert user like who knows version 2 already, and if they want to move to version 3 and 4, they can probably use my book, which is available as an instant Windows PowerShell guide.
Harshul hasn't even given me treat for reviewing that still yet. So please buy it more so that you
Please
can get
generate
stuff.
more reviews so that I can get much and I can give it.
Okay. So moving on, so there's PowerShell.org. So where there's a forum, like they post a bunch of free ebooks, not bunch, a lot of free ebooks. They have a official podcast also. You can probably hang out there, ask questions. There are a lot of MVPs. So there's a particular one, Dave Vyat, which hangs out a
Yeah,
lot over
private
there, and
mod.
he is the guy. He answers a lot of questions over
Yeah,
there.
maybe you can probably cover your website where you post frequently.
So if you are using configuration manager and you try to automate stuff, and as a personal uh, personal target, I'd like to do future sessions where I'll try to call in speakers. Will for our partial Bangalore user group and Hyderabad user group to present on the topic of automating configuration manager. But that's our road ahead because we want people to get familiar with PowerShell concepts,
Yeah,
basic
and
concepts.
they should turn up to events, and we generally do a lot of events. I mean, across the town, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Hyderabad or Bangalore.
Bangalore.
So we do have three PowerShell user group all over in India. The one is in New Delhi PowerShell user group. The other one is Hyderabad PowerShell user group, which is recently started, and the third one is the Bangalore PowerShell user group. So maybe
So
Deepak can get you the Facebook community there.
okay, so if you are on Facebook, you can go to the link facebook.com/groups/PSBUG. That's the Bangalore PowerShell user group. Okay, and if you are there and you have any trouble finding any other user group, just let us know. So there's a Hyderabad PowerShell user group also. So it goes by the URL facebook.com/groups/hug.windows, and there's a New Delhi user group. They don't have any alias yet, but if you type PowerShell user group New Delhi, it should just pop into your screen. Okay, so whatever we do, all the hangouts we do, we try to share across all the groups. But it's probably safe to, like, if you want, you can probably join the Google Plus community also. So it's open right now, and you can probably add yourself as the member to this. And we try to post. We'll be posting all this stuff because we have the accounts linked in. So whenever we create a event, it automatically gets posted here.
Yeah, this webcast is lively broadcasted to YouTube, so you can share YouTube link to your Facebook wall or with your friends, so that probably they can get the idea about PowerShell and they can join the next PowerShell Hangouts. Right? I mean, we are not going to stop for this. We'll be having a lot of Hangouts in the future.
And we'll be calling in a lot of people to come and deliver sessions for us covering the basics because the we have an in-person meet we used to have in Bangalore, and like there we got a lot of requests for doing the basic parts, so we are focusing on the basics right now, and probably from the next session on, this was just the session to get the agenda set up for the future hangouts also. So we'll be going deep in the in how to use the help, how to use the three commandlets which we discussed today: get command, get help, in more detail,
Then
and
later,
get command block.
how to draft your scripts. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we'll move on to how to use the console interactively, how to use pipeline. We'll go into the pipeline concept. We'll go into the object-oriented nature of the object or the PowerShell commandlets, how to explore objects, what are methods, what are classes. All lot of good stuff is coming up. So keep subscribed, and like we'll be posting the recording of this particular hangout as well in our user group. There's a YouTube channel. I'll be posting the links across the all the Facebook groups and all the Google Plus communities. So watch out that space for that. So that being said, I think we are done with it. So probably best to show the thank you. Sorry. Okay, so we are done with it. So folks, have a good day and join us probably sometime next week.
Next week, or probably we'll share the agenda with the dates.
Yeah, actually we want it to come from the community, like when do you want it, suggest at the suitable timings, and like if you're not comfortable with the timings, suggest as a feedback. We'll probably get
Suggest the
back to you.
topic as well. I mean, if you want to hear something special, yeah,
Yeah,
just go ahead and post your interest.
yeah, and don't do a L300 level on something, because right now people are only concentrating on basic. Probably we can do a L3 or L2 level later. Okay, so I'm gonna stop broadcasting it now. So guys, thanks for joining us. Okay, I think Fenil asked, can you please repeat positioning thing again? Okay, so I'll select that. Okay, he's asking, can you please repeat positioning thing again? Hmm, probably I can take that on the
Yeah,
later
we can
hangout.
take it off.
Make a note of that, or I can quickly show you that is when you do a help, right, you have to be, oh shit, help. Okay. So for the position, like you have to actually scroll down to see which are the positional parameters. So if you see some parameters will have something called named. So what I mean by named is when you need to use file version info, it's actually a switch. So switch is nothing like you switch it on and off. You don't specify any argument to it. So if you want to use it, you have to explicitly tell PowerShell, okay, I'm using minus file version info. So what I mean by that, if you do a get process and you expect something related to file version info to come up, it won't come up. You have to explicitly tell it because the position says it's named parameter. So what I mean by named is you have to name it when you want to use it.
Yeah.
So if you see this now, it gives me the file version info, right? It's not able to enumerate on few process because I might not have the access on that particular
Yeah.
exe which is running. Okay, so but it gives the file version info. So that's what we mean by the positioning thing. So
Yeah, so
going back,
each and every commandlet will not be given the position number, but yeah, maybe it will be named. I mean, it will be given as named.
yeah.
So,
So in this
no,
case, like the
yeah,
position is first, right? So what I mean by that is whatever I argument I give at the first position will already be taken as an argument to the minus name. So when I do get hyphen process and I specify notepad, okay, it's open. How does get process know? Okay, I'm specifying minus name. So what eventually runs is this, right? So that's why it's able to work, right? Because get process knows, okay, I want to get a process which has the name notepad. But
yeah,
when
you can probably try with ID, whatever ID it
yeah,
has, right? So,
so if I do in the
you
process,
do 6 7. No, no, you do 6 7.
so okay, the ID here is 6788, right? Okay, it gives me back, right? But if I tell it, okay,
Yeah,
get process 6788, I'm expecting something, right? But what it tells is cannot find a process with the name. Why? Because at the first position, the first positional parameter is minus name. So whatever I specify is an argument to that. So it will automatically take this as a name, argument to the parameter name. I hope that clarifies it a bit. If it is still unclear, you can let us know later. Okay,
you can search the head topic about parameters.
yeah, you can
Yeah.
probably go there and help for that.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you guys.
Have a nice.
How
Thanks.
to kill process for a particular user? G1, okay,
Yeah.
what you can do is get child item. So that's food for thought for you. Get hyphen process,
You
and you
can
want
use
name
Notepad.
notepad. So okay, let me just check who am I first. So if you see, I'm using Harshul P is my username, right? So get hyphen process. Okay, minus include username, and I say process name notepad. So if you see the Harshul P comes right, and I want to kill it. How do I do it? Is this is well ahead of time, but let me show that to you. I saved it, right?
Yeah.
So if you see my notepad gets killed, right? If I do that, and if you are looking for a particular user, then what you can do is you can use where object. That will come on later when you filter. You can filter out actually
Yeah.
that particular thing belongs to Harshul before killing it. You want to kill all the process which belongs to Harshul. We can do it in single line. So
Yeah.
folks, that's it for today. Hope this has been a little bit helpful in your journey to PowerShell. Keep watching us and join us for next things. Okay, I think we are good to.
Yeah. We are good to close. Thanks.
Will .NET, okay, this one. Will .NET framework remain same if you want to use PowerShell with other product? Mention just. .NET, okay. Don't know,
See,
seriously, I
the
don't.
main idea is to have the compatibility between .NET version and your PowerShell version.
So if I do a $PS version table, it's currently targeting my .NET 4.0, right? So let me run PowerShell.exe in version. Obviously, it will target the different .NET version because PowerShell is based on .NET. So PS version table. So if you see now, it's targeting to the common language runtime, which is nothing but the .NET Framework 2.0. So basically, PowerShell has that dependency on .NET. If you want to run .NET 3.0, it needs to have the .NET 3.5 SP1, I
Yeah,
think.
3.5
SP1.
SQL
So
or
that
a
needs to be
couple of command lines. I mean.
okay. So that you need to have. So PowerShell version going in hand on hand with that particular .NET version. So good question actually. So that's done. So I think we have covered for everything. Okay. And thank you guys. Sitaram is selling happy sysadmin day. Same to you guys every day and be a lazy one actually.
Lazy admin day.
Yeah, be a lazy system admin and then probably you'll go miles because you'll automate stuff. Okay, thanks guys. Probably I should stop sharing screen and I'll stop broadcasting. Okay, PS bug and PS hug over and out. Bye guys.
Bye.